So that really changed the economic development ecosystem in Charlotte. So we lead business recruitment, retention, and expansion of existing businesses in our city. We partner very closely with Mecklenburg County in doing this, as well as the Alliance, University City Partners, Center City Partners, UNC Charlotte, Central Piedmont, the EDPMC, our other educational institutions in town, to either address the needs of the businesses that are here today to make sure that they're growing and thriving, or to bring companies here. The model has been really successful. I think that we weren't sure how this would turn out after the merger and when this came into the city. But we've brought in almost 7,000 jobs. In 2018, we ended the year with 2,700 new jobs with Honeywell, LendingTree, Avid, Cognizant, and then in 2019 we added another 4,800 plus, with over 2,900 of those coming between September and the end of the year. So it's really furthering our reputation as a hub for both corporate investment and job creation, but as well as where companies can start, grow, and thrive. A lot of our success, as you can see, was in the office and customer service realm, but really also really heavy tech. So whether that's fintech, core tech, retail tech, there's all types of tech. Our community is very well poised for those jobs and has the educational and talent pipeline to fill those jobs. So we've been really successful in that market.
Let me just add to that too. I mean, prior to Fran coming into her role in this change, the city and the county really only got involved in incentives. The chamber would run everything. They kind of were the guiding force that worked with companies growing here, relocating here, expanding here. Our model is different now. That we're obviously still have the incentive component behind it, but that we are focused in a lot of different ways, taking your priorities about different parts of our city, but also keeping in mind that the companies, it's about, announcements are great, but it's about them being able to get people in place to hire, to see that success. And so we look at this as a job that doesn't just stop at an announcement or just an incentive discussion.
So to break it down, really what we do, so we create jobs and we keep jobs. So under Perspective New Business, we create jobs and grow our tax base. We work with business relocations to Charlotte, expansion of existing businesses, community partnership, talent acquisition strategies. We got business investment grants. And keeping jobs, we try and remove barriers to company successes. We give them assistance with real estate and other infrastructure needs. We help them create workforce partnerships and really connecting them to resources and other either small businesses or big businesses that can really help them grow.
Pause real quick, Councilwoman Watlington.
Quick question for you. I see you've split this up into create jobs and keep jobs. I'd be interested to see, because as I'm reading the items under the create jobs, if we look at the ecosystem as being Charlotte, there are new jobs in Charlotte, but they're not necessarily new jobs in the global ecosystem, right? So where do we talk about creating jobs by growing small business here?
So I think that we do that in two different ways. So we work with businesses that could be 5 people growing to 10 people. We work with businesses adding 2,000 jobs as well. Like, I don't know that we necessarily split that up. I think we want to help in whichever way that we can. We have incentive tools that Emily will talk about one of these later, that it's hard for a small business to grow. It's just on the parameters of the tools that we have. So we're trying to create new ones. But I think a lot of like helping the small businesses grow is how do we learn and help them with those opportunities? So further, you'll see in this presentation, we talk about like lead generation. So how do we find the companies that we can help accelerate their growth? A lot of what you'll see and why you see a lot of big business is because that is what we see coming into our market, right?
And let me answer that a slightly different way, because I think this is important. This has primarily in the past, the big business incentive grants, or when you look at the state and JDIG and those things, primarily been for the big boys, right? It's been for the Honeywells, it's been for the Lowe's, folks like that. in some elements, it remains that way, but I think we've made a lot of strides over the last year, being creative in this pilot we're in the middle of, saying for higher growth, smaller companies that we're either recruiting or trying to retain, here are more creative ways that you can play in that space too. But at the end of the day, while we'll make incremental adds to that, really it's the small business program and the enhancements to those capabilities that are going to help those folks. This is kind of a single, game that is played for a very specific thing. I think the real impact we'll make with them is the unifying of the small business resources and assets and really
And
being proactive.
That's it. If you remember our 4 focus areas, where small business, entrepreneurial business innovation is another one of them, all of our 4 areas are so completely intertwined, but a lot of the work that Holly and her group is doing is specifically targeted around that small business growth. And whether you look at like AMP Up and programs like that we have to really target on that, but they're always constantly talking too.
Right.
The business investment grants, just to remind everybody too, is a component. The JDIGs, which is the state incentives, have to have a local contribution as well, and so that's where it kind of creates its own thing.
But in a final point there, especially because I see our illustrious colleague over in the county, Peter Zeiler, walk in, Tracy's counterpart over there. The fact of the matter is, I hate the fact that we have to incentivize companies to come here. I hate that we have to do that. If we have to do it, at least it's in the form of these rebates where we put strings attached for the things we want to accomplish. But until the rest of the state and the rest of the country stands down, the first person that drops out is going to be at a severe disadvantage in a lot of these cases, not all of them, in recruiting. So while that's the case today and we have to play in it, I think it's maximizing the business case, but also our partners in the county and the state level with the JDIGs and the county's own business investment grant are crucial making it happen because they collect a big chunk of the property taxes. We collect a smaller chunk. That is our only tool to do this. So I mentioned that out loud because I know you have a economic development committee meeting coming up, and hopefully you can relay to them that it's a conversation we all as a group need to have because anything we do impacts the other folks. Mr. Graham.
And I know you're just getting started on your presentation. I think you're like on slide 1, right?
We made it to 3.
This is great conversation.
No worries, we can flip through.
I'm just going to put Victoria's question in the parking lot because I want to get back to that as well.
Okay.
Because if we can incentivize the large businesses to come and make a difference in our community, we have to find a way also to incentivize and promote smaller business as well. And smaller guys hire a lot more folks than the Honeywells and those combined. So I think we're really missing a targeted population if we're not intentional about being creative around that. And maybe we are, but I just want to put that in the parking lot that we don't forget that dot.
And I will say that in upcoming, Holly and her team, we've been doing a lot of work around a small business strategy because there's a lot of different little initiatives that are out there and how are we communicating what we're doing within the city, but then also what's happening citywide. And trying to really get that organized to say, this is as a city what we're doing for small business.
Yeah.
And so we want to be able to bring that back to you all.
Small and minority business.
Yeah.
And one of my frustrations now that Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, well, you're chairman for the day, right?
Acting chair.
Is that, again, the city and the county, we're kind of playing in the same field, but we're not playing together. And if we would play together, I think we could be a hell of a lot more effective and efficient. County's doing minority business stuff, small business stuff, we're doing it, and we're just like, we can be a hell of a lot more effective, but I digress.
So I'll tally up any requests for comments and let you guys churn through some slides, and then we'll circle back when you do a nice stopping point to let everyone ask their questions.
All right. So again, we're really about jobs and investment in Charlotte and how we can increase the jobs and increase the investment. So we are trying to hone in on what we're good at. So we know we're good at tech and fintech, logistics, distribution, and manufacturing. So like Sealed Air, companies like that, corporate headquarters and back office support. So that could be something like a Honeywell. It's Mark Wilson and Chime Solutions, financial services like Better.com, and then international companies, again, like MUFG, and trying to increase our international presence like we just did when we went and joined the Hornets. But really, it's about diversifying our workforce so that we are poised for success whichever way the economy goes. So how do we do this? So really it comes down to lead generation. And Victoria, this is where I was, thinking about your comment earlier. How do we get engaged with companies? So it's really working with our prospect generators. So like the site selection community, EDOs like the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, and our brokerage community that get these looks first. It's referrals through our partners, like Carolina FinTech Hub has sent us some companies, our education partners who have said, talk to companies, know companies want to expand and how we can help them. And then just community awareness, whether it's through the media or just our team being more community facing, it really helps us with the companies that we talk to. Just this week, we had a meeting with UPS, last week, is expanding their facility in Charlotte. We didn't recruit them for their expansion. They reached out to us because they were having some challenges with their infrastructure needs. And they're also hiring a significant amount of workers that get full-time benefits for part-time jobs. And they get a great career path at UPS. So it's having conversations like that in the community and that awareness that helps us do our job better. So really working with our partner agencies to figure out who in our marketplace is looking to expand or looking to move here. So from then, I call it the trifecta. We have to figure out what is most important to people. The three buckets that we really focus in on are real estate, talent, and incentives. Between those three things is what we think really drives that job creation and investment in our market. So I'm going to walk through each of these. So real estate. We partner with the development and brokerage community to ensure that product is available for companies to lease or build. Right now, this is a challenge for us in Charlotte. The real estate market is great. We don't have a lot of vacancy in our market. And in some places where we want to see job growth, we don't have product. And so it's really looking at council priorities. It's looking at knowing what we're good at, what sectors that we think that we could see job growth, and where those opportunities are, and working in our market to find them. The Lowe's Tower that you see here in South End was another product that our team worked on during that site selection to find the most optimal site for them. In addition to that, we assist existing companies with retention and expansion needs. There are some companies that either the rents are raising and they can't afford to be there anymore. Maybe it's a manufacturing company that's located in an area of growth and they know they need to move. Or maybe they picked a place, but it's really not matching the needs of their workforce. And so how do we work with those companies to make sure that they're in the best fit for success in Charlotte? And so we look at our existing product, whether that's an industrial user up in the university, in Ballantyne, all over our city. And then last, we assist with targeted infrastructure needs to allow for optimal business operations. So an example of that, again, is when we met with UPS last week, and they have some concerns about the lack of a traffic signal and a large amount of trucks leaving and a large amount of employees coming at peak hours. And so how do we proactively address their concerns, again, to make sure that their company is thriving and their workers are thriving. Talent. So this talent wins the war. You can have the best real estate, you can throw lots of incentive dollars at a company, but if they can't fill their jobs, then they're not going to be successful in our market. And so Emily has really taken a new approach to talent for us and developing customized talent acquisition strategies in collaboration with our education and workforce partners. I put up here a quote from Marvin Ellison, who's the CEO of Lowe's. And this was an op-ed that they put in the Observer after the Lowe's selection announcement. And it continues on after this, but I think that it was really interesting to know that the top two bullets for why Lowe's chose Charlotte was all around our workforce and the people here and the opportunities to partner with either the educational providers, our opportunity talent providers, and they were very hands-on and engaged. Emily set up a panel in Mooresville. We went to their camp council. We talked about how they could be successful in Charlotte. You know, when a new company comes here, they don't know who to reach out to. And so it really helps them understand how they're going to create this pipeline. And I think it really sets us apart from our competition because we care and we want companies to hire people in Charlotte and upskill people and develop that pipeline for them to be successful. The other thing that we do is we assist existing companies with finding local talent. So again, Emily meets with companies quite a bit, and let's just say they're a call center and they're not able to staff up the way that they hope to. How can we create those partnerships in the community to get them the talent that they need? Put another image on the screen, and that is, we talked about lead generation. And so when companies come in and they want to consider Charlotte, the first thing that we're going to do as a part of that step is fill out essentially a request for information where we're going to break down why they should come to Charlotte, why they should look at Charlotte. And so Alyssa, who's not here today on our team, and Emily, they do very detailed reviews of our labor and our workforce and really taking data to tell a story about why a company should choose Charlotte. So whether it's in technology or for this was transportation and warehousing, you know, I think why I like transportation and warehousing as well is like this hourly wage is below, I think, what a lot of times we like to consider that $15 mark in Charlotte. And so one of the things when we pull this kind of data is we start to look at how this company can be a part of our Charlotte priorities and our Charlotte landscape. And so really talking to them about this is an average wage for the MSA, but these are what we're seeking in Charlotte, right? These are the kind of jobs that we want to bring. So how can we up the game from this benchmark? And those are conversations that a lot of companies are really willing to have because they also recognize that they've got to hire people. So they want that honest feedback, and it's a way for us to really engage with a company. Last but not least, incentives. So our incentive program is really our tool to offset the cost of expanding your business to Charlotte and creating jobs. So I touched on this last month, but we embarked on a pilot program in October that will allow us some additional flexibility on how we give incentives. But at its core, it's a reimbursement of net new property taxes generated by a company's investment. So again, back to small businesses. One of the challenges we have with the small business in this defined program, so our business investment grant, we call them BIGs, is that the capital investment threshold is $3 million. And this is a program that's jointly administered with the county. So we have generally the same guidelines. We are doing the pilot right now. Peter and the county are in the standard format that we have had. But it still remains the same in that you have to have $3 million of capital investment, create 20 jobs, and either pay the average annual wage for the MSA, which is around $51,000, or the standard occupation code. And so that is where, when we start to talk about smaller businesses, is that this program doesn't necessarily address that off the bat because $3 million is a lot of money to be spent. But that $3 million is not just, can be spent on a landlord on their behalf. It could be in like desk and office furniture and things like that, but it has to generate new taxes, whatever it is, so we can reimburse you, is really the crutch of the business investment grants. What Tarek was referencing earlier was the emerging target industry grant. And what that is that's for companies that come in and they're not ready to invest that $3 million today, but it's been a competitive site selection process. They're going to create a large amount of jobs that pay a great wage. And then when they're ready to invest, so let's say they're in a co-working space now, like a WeWork, when they're ready to invest in their real estate, then we can give them that grant, or we will take to city council for their review a business investment grant.
And I think the context I might add to this one, it goes back to Victoria, your original question. We were sitting there over a year ago saying, God, we can only play with the big boys with the business investment grant. Even a small high growth company in one of these great target industries, when they come to town, they're not thinking about $3, $4, $5, $10 million of capital right away. They're thinking, I got to hire people as quickly as possible, and I'll hire 20 people, right? But they're just not quite at that point, and we had nothing, no love to give them, nothing like, sorry, we just don't play in this space. This was a really elegant solution to that, which was we're committing really not a lot, if anything, up front, but we're showing them, you hire the folks today. If you get yourself into a position where that growth is going well and you're ready to invest the capital, you've got this kind of letter of intent with us where we can count kind of some of those things along the path, some of those jobs you've hired along the path to allow you to benefit from that later. And we're going to give that to you up front so you kind of put that in your mind as like, Charlotte's showing me some love and no one else has a tool to give us that. So I think it's a really unique capability that's helped us in the past, but as you think, and I think that's where you'll transition to these considerations, like we have other objectives we'd like to accomplish. Wouldn't it be great with all of these upward mobility, tech type workforce programs that are popping up around town that people are doing, our own workforce focus, if there was some way to incentivize these businesses to say, yeah, come here, here's another incentive, but we need you to commit to hiring out of these upward mobility programs so that now it's not just we brought a new company with jobs to town and, they're six-figure jobs. Like, how is that going to help anybody? They've made a commitment directly to impact upward mobility in our own backyard. So, again, it's easier to say that and figure out exactly how all that works. But I know that would be an amazing tool if you figured it out.
We might have an idea.
Might have an idea.
Good.
But to Councilmember Carr's point, considerations. Business investment grant is not a given. You don't just come in here and say, hey, I checked the boxes and our team is going to magically appear to you and ask you to vote on it. We have to go through and we learn a lot about the companies and we make sure that they're a really good fit for Charlotte and that their priorities are your priorities and our priorities. And so we go through a really heavy vetting. The other really great thing about these grants is it gives us a very intimate relationship with companies that we become almost like a trusted friend or advisor in a way, in the sense that, if they are having challenges, we learn about it first, right? Not Eric. It's not enough. So we get to help them, right? So if there are barriers that they're going to call us because their success is our success. And if they fail, we fail. And so we really want to be a partner with them. And on that note, one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is community impact. So in the end of 2018, Albemarle, which moved its corporate headquarters here in 2015, they made their largest donation in corporate history and donated $10 million to economic mobility in Charlotte. Just for reference, we gave them a business investment grant that was worth $75,000, right? They brought 120 jobs to Charlotte, invested $13 million. And so the companies that we're bringing, yes, we do give them a grant and give them a reimbursement of their property taxes, but they're also making a huge commitment in our community. This is just a quick post. Lowe's just last week opened a new E2D lab at Olympic High School. Honeywell donated $500,000 for the new men's shelter in Charlotte. Microsoft came in with their Smart Cities initiative with the city of Charlotte and did a 3-year deal focusing on workforce development, IoT, and innovation. Then I'll end it with Honeywell one last time because their commitment in our community, I have a list here of everything that they've done, from summer partnerships with Druid Hills Academy to sponsoring the Future Lab at Discovery Place. They gave $100,000 to the CMPD Foundation. They're investing in the new veterans home. I think that when we pull these companies in, they really give back to Charlotte And that brings me to Chime Solutions, which I thank Mark for being here today. Chime Solutions was a company that we worked with last summer. We partnered with Chime they have a mission to bring over 1,000 jobs, and we hired up to 400 this time last year through a career fair. We've worked with them on everything to helping them choose where you're going to put your permanent real estate home, to working with their workforce. Had a great lunch today to talk about new opportunities. And I wanted to play a video for you real quick that speaks to what Mark and his company are doing, and then turn it over to Mark to make some remarks.
The idea of providing outstanding customer service for your clients with doing great things for the community are not mutually exclusive. It's time for us to change the way that we think about business. Today, I believe there's a fundamental miss that's happening. The big miss is that there's so much talent that's resident in a lot of communities around the country that have historically been overlooked. We started Chime with the intention of tapping into that talent pool and bring it to the forefront so that everybody can get benefit of it. That means companies get better because we're serving them, because we're giving these folks a chance to be all that they can be. Communities get better because the jobs are there and folks are feeling good about the work that they're doing. Families get stronger. This is what Chime is all about. Chime is a premier provider of business process outsourcing services, and we do that on behalf of a number of Fortune 500 companies. One of the primary focuses of this model within Chime is to address the issue with economic mobility. By creating opportunities in under-resourced communities, we leverage the talents that have traditionally been left behind. So what we've seen as an industry lately, the barriers or the differences between doing work domestically, the difference between that and what happens offshore, the gap is shrinking. So just imagine the 1,000 seats of work that you have in a community, offshore even, and the impact that your company could have if you put those 1,000 jobs in a community here in the U.S., and you can do it on the same economic basis or similar economic basis as the outsourcing across the globe. Our goal is to create 10,000 jobs by the end of 2020. And by leveraging the multiplier effect, when Chime hires one person, that hire results in 2.5 jobs in the community. If we're to create 10,000 jobs, 2.5 to 3 times that would be 25,000 or 30,000 jobs. So if you are a company today that outsources work at any level, outsource that work with purpose, because it's time to change. It's time to change the future of lives. It's time to change the future of communities. It's time to change the future of business.
So we're very lucky that I think that Chime is in our community, but Chime is a great example of, he took me to lunch one day and we were in this recruitment process and he challenged me on the fact that I could not incentivize his company to come here. That I had an incentive program that didn't address a company like his. And the reason for that is the investment number and the salaries, because at the time, the way our incentive program was structured, it was around that $51,150 figure. And then also with the standard occupation codes, like how his jobs panned out. And so we couldn't give him anything. But he came anyways, thankfully, and I wanted to invite him to share some remarks. And then this will really transition into the program next that we kind of developed in response to Mark and his company. So with that, I'll let you make some remarks.
So here?
Or you can
Yeah,
sit up
you have to
there.
come on up, I think, yeah.
Well, first off, I really do appreciate being here today.
Join us at the table, just the microphones have to be able to pick it up. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And I do want to say, it's not a paid commercial here, but I do want to acknowledge Fran and the Economic Development team, Emily and others that have been extremely helpful to us. While Fran references the conversation that we had where they couldn't
I got that finger wet.
where they couldn't really necessarily do what could have been helpful to us to move here. the challenge still remains here around economic mobility in the city of Charlotte, and we as a company are still have full intention in trying to address that across the country. So it didn't deter us from making a decision to come here, but I was just noticing the conversation that you were just having about, helping smaller businesses like ours, and how that's not necessarily something that's easy for the economic development folks to do. And it's largely because, the focus has to do, it's not even necessarily the $3 million, while that could be a barrier for some, it wasn't really the barrier for us, is that we're paying livable wage jobs, fully $14 an hour, which would be a decent job by most standards, particularly for folks who do not have work. It doesn't meet the threshold for what is the minimum threshold for the economic development folks to incentivize a company like ours in helping to bring those jobs here. And so, I think, it's hard to, my opinion is it's hard to get at the issue of where Charlotte stands around economic mobility, which I think we all know is challenged right now. When the incentives aren't really placed at a place where the jobs actually get created, to the questions and the points that were being made earlier. We have the intention of bringing a minimum of 1,000 jobs here. $14 an hour is a lot of folks that, that's a significant life change for them, and for it to be seen through the way that incentives are promoted. You don't give yourself a chance at those companies that would bring those jobs here that I think would be important to development here. So, that's my soapbox about it. Aside from that, the support that I've gotten since we've been here has been tremendous. Fran and her team have been a tremendous resource to us as we've learned about the Charlotte community and, how we can leverage other things, toward being successful here, toward our goal of trying to really make a difference, do good business for our clients, but at the same time, try to have an impact on people's lives and therefore their communities. So I don't know what else you were looking for me to say.
No, I think that it's just good for especially our newer council members as we start to bring forward what Emily and I have been working on around the Opportunity Hiring Grant, how we haven't, one of the things that Mark has and wants to do is partner with JCSU, a final location, particularly like somewhere in that area, location for your company and things like that. I think it's just important for everyone to know and experience some of the challenges that we're trying to overcome. An economic development team, yes, it's all about, lots of big logos, but there's also other things that, we're working on. And so I think just you to be here and segue into the next grant that we're going to talk about, I think is really important. And we had lunch today, and even then Mark was talking about a new opportunity, right, for 200 different types of jobs that require, or I guess give us an opportunity to upskill existing talent into those new roles that are a little bit more advanced. And making more wages. So again, creating that career path potentially within his company. And so this is an opportunity that we could have lost very easily.
Yeah, I think the final thing is that, when you incentivize or you're looking, and I did hear the comment about not really liking the fact that you have to be competitive with incentives. I understand that, you would just want people to come here. But that is, the landscape that's out there right now, that these other cities, I was able to, in the conversation I had with Fran, to reference, we just opened in Dallas as well as at the same time we were looking to expand here. And, their approach to it was fresh and it was recent when I was having the conversation with Fran and team about it, and how their approach to it is, really focused on that segment of the community, jobs that are being created in that second segment of the community that has historically been left out. And, so I would argue that if you are going to provide incentives, they should be targeted at the segment of the population that has the most need. and where you can actually make a difference in the framework of your city by investing in those folks, you know. So make it mean something other than a few 100 or 200, 300 higher paying jobs. Not arguing against that, I think that's good, but more targeted where the masses can be impacted, I think is, you know, maybe a smarter way to look at it, and some other, and that can make you more competitive compared to some other cities.
I think that's well said. I mean, and I think that's, hopefully that transition, and I'll pause for anyone else who has questions for Mark particularly, but from my perspective, I think that's exactly right. Whether it's what I said before, in that these folks are bringing jobs, and we know they can hire folks that can have the skills developed that will catapult them out of a bottom quintile poverty. There's also an angle to be said when some of these jobs in our own backyard are going away, whether they're, you know, teller jobs or call center jobs or whatever. You know, a BPO is different, right? So how they have to, if our companies decide to go away and outsource to someone like you in our own backyard, that means people are being rehired centrally. So I think that's very interesting. Did anyone else have questions?
I couldn't say it any better.
Yeah.
I just obviously don't expect you to go into the very, very specific details of your conversation over lunch, but I am very interested to hear a little bit more about how you're thinking about mobility and investing and partnering with, like you said, Johnson C. Smith or other types.
Yeah, I'm really happy for you to ask that question, because it's the second part of what we're trying to do is not only create the job, but create us some what we're calling wraparound services that have to do with the full life of a person that works for us. So that has, you know, the challenges that most folks have are stable housing, transportation, childcare are the main ones, and so we're trying to do what we can to impact that, you know. So I'm careful to not have us be like just a social, like we're, you know, nonprofit, we're a for-profit business, but it just makes so much sense for us to get it right with our people. It translates into good service for our clients. So we're partnering in the other cities and trying to do that here in Charlotte now, partnering with businesses. We partnered in Atlanta with a daycare provider so we can have on-site daycare. And because we're creating so many jobs and therefore so many kids, we're actually in a position to have this company have, you know, a thriving business just on our segment of kids. We can give them, you know, 300 kids to go into this one daycare. And then we have something called Chime University, which is centered around facilitating folks buying their own home. And so we've had a lot of success with that. We had one young lady who was a single parent, 3 kids, and she was trying to buy a house. And she didn't understand the whole credit process and about real estate and the bank and all. So I helped her. I personally helped her with that. She brought her credit report in. We looked at it, and I gave her some points. She wanted to buy in a house, and that sort of spread throughout our whole company until everybody was like, "Okay, can you help me?" So we put in our Chime University, which is this development, structure that we have where folks can come in on the weekend and learn. And we set a goal for the company to create 50 homeowners, we just did this last year, and we're in the middle of it now. We have, I think, like 23, 24 homeowners, that mostly single women with children, that have been able to, put themselves in a position to buy their own home by virtue of us just providing a framework for them to learn about how to do that, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Johnson?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Is that university here in Charlotte?
Well, it's Chime University, so it's our company university. We're just calling it university.
No, I understand that.
But, I didn't finish this. We are partnering with HBCUs and Johnson C. Smith here, where we're trying to get the students at the college to be able to be dedicated to certain of our clients and create a pipeline for them to go forth and work for them after working for us.
No, I was asking about the homeowners, the 50 homeowners. Is
Yeah.
that here in Charlotte?
No, it started in Atlanta, and we just, so we just opened here. We haven't migrated to here. But for sure, that whole program is kind of centered to us as a company, and that we'll be doing the same thing here. We just got to find the right partners.
Because the reason I ask is, and hopefully this will lead to the next session, But companies like his, or companies like UPS that are paying $13 or $14 an hour, if there were some type of grant to supplement that income, because even as great as your company is and those incentives, the average home price here is like, what, $264,000 now? So at $15 an hour,
Can't afford
a
it?
person just can't afford it. So if there was,
That's a shame.
yeah. So if there was something, I don't know, some type of grant that we could supplement companies like his to pay their employees a higher wage to be able to afford to work and live in Charlotte.
But, so, your point's taken. I think my opinion on that, just having been in this space for a couple of years now, is that there's no kind of grant from the government that's going to solve that. But, however, if the 14 or 50, it's the difference between giving someone a job and an entrance into their new career. And if their new career starts for a year of training at a livable wage of $14, $15, $16 an hour, while the training they're getting is to take them to that next level, then home ownership becomes a realistic goal that can be achieved at some point. But if, and I think this goes back to when we incentivize people, if we find a model to incentivize folks to hire out of our programs, that model has to be not, I'm going to hire $14 an hour career people to be in this job. This is the entry point, and here's how those programs are going to help them evolve. And I think that's the most important way.
And I do want to be clear that that is our goal. Our full intention is not to have our folks come in and that be the job that they aspire to ultimately give. What we were talking about at lunch today is I have an opportunity today where the client actually needs licensed, folks for property and casualty and for life and health insurance, but that's a higher wage job and the next level of job, so, but it does require, there's an education component to that where you have to study to get the license to be able to do the work for us.
That is a great grant for us to consider there, helping them with the training for the existing folks they've hired through.
Yeah, us or an entity like the community college.
Even better.
There's
Yeah, with
already
federal
some
dollars coming in
established
for it.
grant
Yep.
programs that Chime could participate in. And so helping him understand doesn't have to go to the private market for that. We have nonprofit partners who could also help him accomplish that.
Yeah.
Mark needs to catch a flight. So
Oh.
yeah. Just
I'm okay for
okay.
it. 15 minutes over there.
Councilman
I'm good
Winston,
now.
then, go ahead.
I think the challenge is in between what Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Bakari are saying, because we have to get to that livable wage, right? And we know that some people are disincentivized from getting into that middle ground of those $14 hour jobs because they actually end up losing because of that benefits cliff. And no amount of training is going to, or access to school is going to replace those benefits that get lost. You can't eat, people can't pay their rent because they're trying to move up, and that's the reality of too many workers in those situations. So how do we bridge that gap from those $12 hour jobs to those $17 hour jobs so people actually can buy those houses or just stay in stable rental situations? So.
Well, I know for us, and we're trying to just stay right where, first where we can afford to pay it, and we really are on the top end of that because our goal is to try to make sure that we're making a difference. But $14, $15 an hour, I think that's what everybody's kind of saying around the country is that number. But it does differ from community to community. Like if it's $260,000 that you can buy a house, I don't know how you get at that. You can't just say now we're going to pay $20 an hour. So anyway.
Well, good conversation. Clearly the kind of stuff you guys need to hear as you're infusing whatever you're about to throw at us.
Well, on that note, Mark, I really appreciate you being here today.
Oh, thanks for
being
having
back here later in the week. We are going to continue to work with Time Solutions to make sure they're successful here, creating a career path inside their company, as well as finding them a real estate home. So we have a lot of partnerships still ahead of us and look forward to that. So I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for being here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, you guys have great leadership in economic development. I'm saying that sincerely. They've been, even with their hands tied, they've been very helpful. I consider Fran and her team really friends of our company and us personally. So, and you guys are fortunate to have their leadership.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that too, you'll see, I mean, y'all have heard me say it, it's, every company is not the same. We spend a lot of time getting to know the companies that are right for our community. And when we're convinced of that, we're all in to make sure that you're going to see the success. So it's, again, different model, I think, than how it's been done in the past, but one that we wanted you all to be able to see kind of firsthand on that, so. With the pilot,
Yep.
transition into the
Yep.
pilot really quick.
So again, the pilot is, the idea came to our team following lunch with Mark in July. What he didn't tell you is the city of Dallas gave them $2 million of incentives to come there in a training grant. And the mentality of Dallas is that they train and they invest in the people of Dallas. So Mark decides he don't like Dallas. He's sick of commuting between Atlanta and Dallas, and he says, I'm out of Dallas. The skills that are learned in their time and the resume built by the people of Dallas stay in Dallas. And that is the mentality behind their training grant. At least that's my understanding of it. And so came back and circled up with our team, and we really started digging into how do we come up with some kind of incentive that's not tied to property taxes, because people don't, that doesn't link, those don't connect. That gives us some flexibility, some nimbleness to work with companies who are going to invest in our people. And so that is where this idea came to be. And again, just like the pilot for the business investment grant, and we haven't ironed it all out, but it's something that we want to try and pilot and see where it goes.
Well, and that's what I wanted to say. You guys are going to see, especially out of our team, we like to experiment. So you're going to see pilots instead of a lot of time churning on policy, thinking that we've got to have it right. Let's try this. When we have momentum right now, let's see what works, what doesn't work. And we may have to, we may have to continue to tinker with some of these as we go through, but we'd rather not waste the time and just work to experiment to come up with the right toolbox for our community.
And I might just add, I'm anxious to see the details, obviously, but I think it's really important, and Mark, I'll say this while you're still here, because this may not sound great to hear, but at the end of the day, they mentioned something about competitive and the nature of it before. We need the tools where maybe sometimes when you're already going to come to Charlotte, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
we don't necessarily need grants to make that happen versus the scenario where you're legitimately going to go somewhere else. And that would be the only tool we had to do that. So I think the balance is important because we want, you're a unique example that came here anyway without it. And I think that's a part of this that the community needs to definitely understand, which is not everyone is going to require these. These need to be competitive deal savers.
Well, but it's to be clear on this last example.
Yeah.
I have to make a choice as to where I'm going to place that work of the opportunities I have. So
Sure, agreed.
So-
But I guess it's just a broader point where sometimes people already choose Charlotte.
Sure.
And they're just trying to pretend to play hardball to get a better deal. And I think that's the hard part of this team,
Right.
has to sit down and deduce
Sure.
that. And, it's not a perfect approach, but it's important.
But we're going to have a proposal to Mark, hopefully by the end of this week, to incent him in making that
I mean, it's
continued
real.
investment
Bring this
and
out.
opportunity
Yeah.
in our community.
For sure we're here, but for sure it's real that we
Right.
got to figure out where's the best place to place
And
this
that's
work.
fair, and that's fair,
Very
because we
fair.
know that workforce is one of the most expensive aspects of a company. So, are we ready to transition?
Yep.
Great. So what we're going to present to you today is our approach to developing a tool to help companies like Chime commit to economic opportunity in our community. And just a couple things to keep in mind. This is still under the business recruitment program. So it would be offered to companies as an incentive, and it is a hiring grant. And that's different from a training grant, and we'll explain to you kind of what that looks like as we get into it. So today we'll talk to you about the innovative approach we've come up with, what the objectives of the program, its components, and how it works within our current talent development landscape. So it is our hope that these opportunity hiring grants will increase equity and opportunity in our economic development and business recruitment process by incenting companies to partner with our community training providers who may be considering alternative pathways to filling their jobs and creating a pipeline in our community for our Charlotte residents. So in turn, it increases the number of Charlotte residents who are able to take advantage of these job opportunities. We're making investments to stay with the employee, as Fran had mentioned, and we're also filling a gap in our incentive portfolio. So what we're proposing is up to $2,500 cash grant to a prospective or expanding company for each new full-time employee hired from one of our certified talent development partners. We're saying up to $2,500 because we do want this to be flexible. We want to understand should we tie the incentive amount to salaries? Would every company be eligible for the same amount? We really want to kind of look at the companies that come to the table for this opportunity and be able to incent them with what we think is the best tool to bring their commitment to providing these opportunities for our Charlotte residents. So right now we're saying not to exceed 50 positions. And again, this is a pilot, so we're going to see kind of how these numbers play out. But within kind of our funding constraints, we feel like this is a fair place to start for this pilot. And in order to be eligible for the grant, the company must demonstrate that they have made the hire, and they must provide us position, benefit, and wage data. So again, these are full-time jobs that we would be incenting. They're new hires to the company. And again, the company is competitive in our market through either looking to relocate here or expand here. And with each grant, right, we're going to set deliverables tied around these objectives. We're looking for companies who are going to be responsive to our workforce challenges. These are also results driven, right? So we want to see number of placements, salaries that these individuals have obtained, looking to see have we actually increased opportunities for individuals in Charlotte to get these jobs. How are we bolstering utilization of our existing talent development partners? And the thing that's really the most important to me through this tool is to increase connections and relationships with our companies and our talent development providers, right? The organizations in our community who are working on creating career and job readiness for our Charlotte residents and working to get them to a place where they can take advantage of a livable wage job and potentially start down a career path or even transition their career paths. A lot of individuals served by our talent development partners are trying to upskill themselves in a way that they get into a market that is more competitive. So driving those connections between our industry and our talent development partners develops the relationships that we pride our team in creating to really hold up awareness for companies and lead them to opportunities in our community for our residents. Again, this is targeted towards prospective companies who are considering relocation or expansion in our market. So in order for a company to be eligible, right now what we're considering is they still need to meet the wage parameters of our business investment policy. So within the pilot, we require that the wages come at either the average for the MSA, which is $51,150, or 100 to 125% of the standard occupational classification code, which is lower for certain industries in our market than the 5150, right? If this was an e-commerce facility, those wages are going to look more like $36,000 in our market in order to be eligible for this incentive. It needs to be aligned with our targeted industries for the business recruitment program. The company must essentially be offering full-time jobs that are competitive in our market and do offer transferable skills to their employees. And again, they're incented to hire from our certified talent development partners in our community. So they have to make the hire from one of our partners in order to be eligible for the grant. As Mark mentioned, and as our team already knows, one of the reasons that we're adding this tool to our portfolio is to help keep us competitive with our other peer cities and states who have added grant programs that are tied to economic opportunity and upward mobility for their residents. Getting more into the finances, again, what we're proposing right now is a $2,500 cash grant, not to exceed 50 employees for each new employee hired. The company will have a defined period of time to make these hires, understanding that if you're hiring 100 people, not all of them come within the first week. Sometimes that happens over a couple of years. We're hoping that the grant money can be used to offset the tangible and intangible costs of hiring. We know, for instance, hiring in our market right now, the average cost of hire is about $4,000 per person. That's when you add up the employee hours spent, the fees associated with background checks, right? Even referral fees, employee referral fees. Right now in our market, companies are spending at least on average about $4,000 per hire. And that goes up as you look at professional service jobs and technology jobs. So we're hoping to offset some of those costs of hire in order to incent these companies to consider talent that is available through our talent development partners. And then ideally, if this grant money can be used to leverage additional funds in our community that are available through our state community college system or our workforce development board, that in turn puts together a package that's focused on employees in a company and their growth and training. Feedback will obviously be an important tool for the success of this program. What we're asking from companies would just be a quarterly update showing us of the jobs kind of created through this grant program, how many eligible candidates were presented through our talent development partners, how many were hired, and then feedback on whether or not that person is still employed and how much they're making, ideally into the first year of that individual's employment with the company. Our talent development partners, we're working on a process right now that would sort of be an application into the program. We're looking to include things like continuing education programs at our 4-year and 2-year educational institutions, technology training programs, skilled trades programs such as Goodwill Skilled Trade Center, professional service training programs. And what we would require right now is that the training provider is a not-for-profit and located within the city limits. They have to offer an industry-certified curriculum and some type of credentials to demonstrate that they are, in fact, providing an industry standard for the position that they're trying to place the individual in. And then what's really important, I think Mark alluded to this as well, is that in partnering with our talent development organizations in the community, these individuals have access to supportive services, right? So they're working with case managers. Oftentimes, when they come in to something like the Goodwill Opportunity Center, there's kind of a full-on assessment, right? There's interests and aptitude assessment, but there's also an assessment of, do you have housing? Do you have childcare? Do you have transportation? And it's a holistic approach to removing an individual's barriers for success and employment. And we think it's really important that that relationship continue. And hopefully someday all of the companies in Charlotte will be as committed as Chime to caring about those needs of their employees. But right now we need to work in close hand with our talent development partners who are also providing those services for these individuals who are being placed in jobs. And we're also wanting to work with the company and the talent development partner in helping the company better understand how to onboard employees who are referred from some of these talent development partners, that there are barriers and hurdles that individuals are going to encounter if they've been out of the workplace for a while, or if they are a single parent, or if their housing may be in transition. And how do you as an organization understand the needs of these employees and create a plan hand in hand with the employee in order for that person to have continued success in your organization and not hit that first hurdle and say, I don't know if I can make it here, right? This might not be for me. So that onboarding education, that relationship with the companies is really important in working with our team and the talent development provider and the company to ensure success for these candidates. So what does success look like? I mean, I think this could be a tool that helps us achieve our mission of continuing to be a top market for business recruitment, but one that's also built around a framework of opportunity. We talk a lot about the difference of talent attraction into our market and building our pipeline from within. This is a program that is specifically focused on building our Charlotte pipeline for the jobs that are available in Charlotte today. It, again, better utilizes our talent development partners and increases placements and industry-based employment opportunities. And, again, offers an incentive for companies who may not meet our capital investment threshold, but we can still incent them in a way to come to Charlotte and to work with our team. So I'll stop there. I think what we'd be asking for today would just be your feedback, and if the committee was comfortable, a recommendation to proceed with this pilot.
Councilman Winston.
I have, I guess, 3 questions. There's a lawyer back there, so this might have. Are we able to require with a program like this that those hires be from Charlotte? If so, are we able to incentivize specific zip codes for where those hires come from? If not, in terms of directly requiring individual hires, are we able to choose those Charlotte recruiters or trainers that will only work with people from Charlotte?
I believe
So,
on the program front, you're going to have a group of ordained or certified nonprofit partners, of which who you choose there
right.
allows you to do that. I
So
don't know
our-
about
yeah,
the
when you look at the-
specificity of the zip codes and that being possible.
When you look at the landscape of our partners in our community, so Goodwill, Charlotte Works, each of them serves a slightly different population in terms of where they come from in our community. So Charlotte Works, right, is the workforce development provider for Mecklenburg County. So most, if not all, of the individuals that go through Charlotte Works reside
We just
in
know that
Mecklenburg
equity
County.
gaps, as we're trying to lessen these
Right.
equity gaps, they are specific to area codes.
Sure.
And if we're not helping specific people coming from specific area codes, we're not actually going to achieve the things that we want. We don't have the ability in other procurement situations to require, for instance, that we are using Charlotte-based businesses.
Right.
So that's why my question, what I would like to know, are we able to target through a program like this? This is different. This is different. Are we able to target area codes that we have identified for those hires?
I would think about this in 2 buckets, because I think the art of the possible is a wide blank canvas right now. On one side is the grant itself and the strings that are attached to the grant, and when I have questions on where the money's coming from, when you measure, when it gets delivered, all that. But putting that aside, then there's the programs. I imagine long-term, the primary program that drives this is Project Peace 2.0. When we redesign all of that, that to me seems like the no-brainer project, because then you can go out and as a program execution element, point out different specific zip codes you want to target different pipelines in, and that becomes a preferred model for then doing it. So you don't have to put that on the company, you put it on the program. So
Right.
there's a lot of things to still figure out there, but we know, we walked out of the retreat saying, we are going to make a top priority of overhauling Project Peace for this new world. I think that's probably the mechanism.
Again, we want the folks, we want to deal with lessening the equity gaps of people in Charlotte. We know, for instance, in our own organization, plenty of the good paying jobs that people have, they go home to Union County. Look at our police, look at our fire. We're not helping lessen the equity gaps here in Charlotte by employing those people. They're taking those wages and going and living in Union County. we're not doing anything when we deal with it for the folks that we are trying to target. So I think it'll be important if we want the results, you know, to find ways to target the people that that we know that need it most within our city, and not just folks that are going to be coming in, taking advantage of the resources and going out.
I know I'm out of order, but
Go ahead,
the
please.
grant that we got in Dallas was just like what's being mentioned here, specific. It had to affect folks in South Dallas, or they didn't qualify for the monies that we got. They were very intentional about trying to make a difference.
So we'll do South Charlotte here then. Got it. No? Mr. Wisniewski,
Well, I would like us, if we are able to do that, I think we should be looking to do that.
Yes, agreed. Any other, well, you said you had other points too?
Well, those were three. Are we able to target in Charlotte? If so, are we able to target specific zip codes? If we're unable to do that, are we able to identify those providers that specifically hire from within Charlotte? So those are three different questions and with two different
Perfect.
strategies.
Councilwoman Watlington was next.
I've got a few, real quick. As we look at the national trends, and it sounds like obviously Dallas has been a leader in this and a couple other places based on this slide, I challenge us to anticipate what they would be doing next based on their learnings. So as we look into this pilot, have we been able to understand not just what they're doing, but what their outcomes have been and what the potential gaps may have been? Because if we can roll that into our pilot on the front end, I think that'd be great. Just a little clarity on this piece. When you say intangible costs, if we're providing cash to offset intangible, when you say intangible, do you just mean like top line cost, or what do you mean there?
Right, so intangible costs would also be perception of talent in the market, right? So when we work with companies out the gate, they want the 4-year degree, the 5 to 7 years of experience, right? When a company needs to get to speed to market quickly, and when they feel like they have a talent model that works in their community, it's often hard for them to shift perceptions on talent that may be available but needs a little extra training or assistance to get to that point. And part of our job in developing talent acquisition strategies for companies is to really hold up alternative options rather than what is honestly the most expensive talent in our market today. And so the intangible is kind of the cost of perception, right? I know that taking a chance on an individual that may not have the degree, may not have the years of experience that I'm looking for is going to cost me as a company in some way, right? And so helping to fill that gap monetarily by offsetting that cost of hire is an incentive in and of itself for the company to consider alternative opportunities for talent. And
So to that end, I would challenge us to think about, is $2,500 really going to offset their losses to speed if we're talking about speed?
Yes, and that's a fair question. I think we're working right now with kind of some existing resources that we know we have. We have had, Mr. Peter conveniently just left when we started talking about money, but we've had conversations with the county about what it might look like for them to participate and for us to be able to even double that amount.
Okay, and then if I'm understanding this correctly, this is cost up front, or not cost up front, but cash up front, correct? Yes. So when we talk about reporting and how we tie that to accountability, what are our thoughts around there?
So essentially, we would be asking a company to report to us say we gave you 25 jobs, right? How many of those 25 jobs have you been able to find and hire? And then show proof of that hire in order to qualify for your grant payment. But
So we're not giving them all the money up front?
no, it would
Okay.
be per hire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to go.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, guys. I appreciate being here and being able to share. And you do need the MSA requirement. It still would exclude a lot of folks. That's still $50,000. So I don't think we would even qualify still at this stage. So
Agreed.
I would think we should go more livable wage, just my 2 cents.
As he drops the mic on the way out.
All those in favor of the
Thank you.
CEO leaving? Aye, okay.
No, but he brings up a
Immediately.
very good point. That was a question that I had as well, in regards to, are we creating a higher barrier to entry unnecessarily by going back to the MSA piece?
Well,
Councilwoman-
just to, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, so our current program right now is the average wage or 100% of the SOC, average SOC wage for that occupation. So companies that their average wage is under 5150 could still potentially qualify for this program.
Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you. You said the average SOC for the industry? So we could find those numbers, right?
Sure, yeah, we have those readily available.
So I'm not sure where the money's coming from either, but we know that I think that funders usually or define the parameters of the funding. So if we're offering an employer potentially $2,500 or $5,000 per employee that they will be able to use on top of other grants such as the Work Opportunity Tax Credit or any OJT dollars, that's a great incentive. So I think it would be practical if the money's coming from the city that we could require it be that employees live in the city, and have certain zip codes that are assigned to the city. And because, they probably, when you have the OJT or other dollars, a family has to make under a certain amount of money. So there are requirements that we could attach to those dollars. And I think that the zip code could be one of them, if the city is the funder. So I'm happy to proceed with you guys pursuing this. I think it's a wonderful thing. This is what we were talking about, this type of grant. But we would like to see this protect or be targeted towards our residents and be able to affect the economic mobility.
I understand.
Councilman Graham.
I think we should proceed as well. I think the questions around the table are legitimate for sure. I was wondering, did the attorney have just a quick yes, no, zip codes, no, based on the discussion?
Maybe.
I haven't gone into details on the zip code piece of it, but I was just saying earlier that I think Mr. Bakari's comments actually were well advised with respect to the program. I think if you can condition eligibility in the talent development program pool that we're using, we can avoid that issue altogether. It can be treacherous, and you do have to be careful.
Yeah.
And you've dealt with this before.
Exactly, that's
so-
why I kind of.
Yeah, I think that anytime you impose local hiring requirements or perceived local hiring requirements, you're treading
It's a
in
preference.
dangerous territory. But I think if you're choosing from eligibility programs that are external partners, then you avoid the issue altogether.
Yeah, so that's not a backdoor way, but certainly it's a way of identifying the pool of people that we really want to help because they've already been engaged in these organizations and these agencies for that type of employment. And I would suspect 90% of them live right here in Charlotte, high percentage of them. So I don't want to derail the program by trying to be so narrowly tailored that we kind of throw the baby away with the bathwater. But certainly it's a good program. It gets to where we want to go. And it's a pilot, so we can adjust it as we go along.
And for that reason, I'm going to be in favor of you guys progressing as well. But I'll tell you, here, my highest concern so far is, when you think about BIGS and the JDIGs and all of those things, it has one big different premise than this, which is it's a rebate. It's absolutely almost entirely risk-free because they have to do everything and their dollars have to come in the door, whether it's, property tax for the BIG or it's income tax for the JDIG, and then they get to apply for that grant. If they don't even apply for it, they don't get it, right? This is almost the exact opposite. So my first question is, aside from just the obvious risk that brings, what's the source of money you guys are targeting? I know we're only talking about at a maximum for any one deal, $125K, but are you earmarking the general fund for that? What are you thinking that's going to come from?
We asked for some in the budget for next year, and then this year we think we have some savings in some other areas to cover that. But it is, to your point, this is a different one that if we see success in this, we're going to have to commit.
Right. And I think that the thing I remember hearing, again, I work alongside you guys, so I get to witness what it's like on the ground floor sometimes, these conversations. And for everyone else who doesn't have that experience, we'll talk to companies. Honestly, I view something like this as literally like a small dollar way to show some love when no one else does. Because think about it. We're going up against New York City at times. And they're like, well, New York City is offering us a rebate at the municipal level on our income taxes. Why don't you guys do that? And we say, well, we don't take income taxes. So there's your rebate right there.
Yep.
But it's a point of like, they feel like that's love.
Yes.
And we have to like justify things. So I think that'll be important to kind of max out, like, and the beauty is you can go down this pilot path and not a dollar gets allocated to anything unless in closed session you bring it to us and we agree, and then we go into open session and justify it eventually. So I feel good about that part of it, but I really do believe that the power in this is going to be to, when you cut a check up front, like how do we not get ourselves in a situation where we're all of a sudden in some, Eric Spanberg's writing about this thing because they took the money and now they're bailing town and the city's so dumb.
Right. So a couple of things I would add to
That's
that.
your
I think
headline, Eric.
what Fran alluded to earlier is entering into these incentive conversations with our team is the start of a relationship, right? And I had to get this in. And it's also a lever. So it's an opportunity to, through showing a little bit of investment on our end into a community, to bring them into a broader relationship with our community. And that, I think, is a value to the incentive process that isn't often calculated and certainly can be in ways that Fran has shown these companies continued investments in our community.
Just try, if it gets to a point where you bring us the first one of these and it's 50 grand and we're all like, 50 grand's nothing, do it. Bring to the table a good explanation of like, if it doesn't happen,
Right.
here's the way this plays out, because I think that'll be the biggest question.
So, and one thing I would ask the committee to consider as well, given and kind of how you know the nature of our pipeline, right? These projects take a lot of time. We can go 6 months in to working with a project, sometimes 9 months in, sometimes a year before they make a hire. We would like to test this now. So what we are proposing for the committee's consideration is to allow us essentially to work with companies who have essentially committed to Charlotte within this past fiscal year, and identify those aptly suited for this investment and allow us to start making these relationships and these connections and starting, right, to put people in jobs that need jobs instead of waiting 6 to 8 months for, the next potential perfect project to hit our market. So that we could work with companies like Chime, that we could work with companies that have already expressed interest in these types of partnerships and create those relationships and see kind of what comes from those outcomes.
Well, I think we have a lot of unanswered questions, like, is $2,500 enough, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to hire? Can our workforce development partners provide the qualified candidates? Does this change your perception, right? Like, there's a lot of kinks to work out with this and to make sure that we have something suited, rather than come up with this really great idea but not have one person hired out of it until April 2021.
Right.
Because that's the nature of ramp up time in our market and decision making. And if we just made this offer today, that just takes time.
Is there a motion to move this out of committee and into staff exploration of pilot mode or whatever?
Or bring it back to full committee.
Bring it back to
Full
full council.
So,
Excuse me.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. What would James do?
all the drama.
I'm afraid we're going to have to make this call without him now.
WWJD.
I think he'd be good with it. Okay.
So one last thing before we adjourn. I know we don't have anything else on our agenda, but I did want to give Jerry just 1 second to update y'all on Amp Up.
Approved.
I'm Jerry Yen. In your packet, you have an Amp Up informational. We're having an open house this upcoming Thursday from 8:30 to 10. And if you don't know what Amp Up is, it is a 7-month program where we have small business owners, ethnic minority business owners. They work for 7 months to learn how to scale their business and a lot of different tracks that we have. So just wanted to share that information with you. If you know of any ethnic minority business owners that would like to apply to the program, please share this information with them. We have a website and they can apply online.
This is our third cohort, correct?
Yep. This is the third cohort in partnership with Atrium Health.
What's the deadline?
The deadline is February the 28th.
Okay.
I think we can help with that.
Yeah, and you said there was an open house? Is that what you said?
The open house is upcoming Thursday in room 267 from 8:30 to 10.
Can you send me an e-file?
Yes.
That way I can forward it to
Yes.
some folks?
Yeah, all of us, thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Did you
you.
say e-file?
Well, you know.
Yeah, I got it.
I was gonna let it go. So, good, thank you for that update. Staff, do you have anything else?
Younger generation, man.
I need an e-file too.
Yeah, we would all like an e-file. If you could just circulate the e-file, however you guys do that, that would be great. On a thumb drive, perhaps, I don't know. I guess I'd end this with, as our fearless leader and chairman Smudgy's out, I would just mention, we've had this conversation, I've had it with a couple of you. I think going forward in these committees, what would be really helpful for us is I think we had some healthy policy conversation here. I think that was good. I think we need to get more towards that. Less in presentations of how things work, more into real policy meat. And I know that there are some things we've talked about that are time sensitive. Right now, if we are not within the next month knee-deep in what Project Peace and workforce development of the future looks like, we'll have missed the window, and it will be next year we're talking about it. So that's one. I think two is when we talk about, we keep bringing up small business and the program elements of that, but we don't drop as deep as we need to. So when someone wants to ask, what's the acronym I'm looking for right now? On the
E-file.
E-file, 3 letters. Not ADP, not ADI,
AMP?
not AMP,
I don't know, we don't know.
I would help you out, but I'm not.
SBI. No, definitely not. CBI. Thank you. Way to go.
Emily wins the prize today.
SBI has been on my mind lately, sorry. Instead of talking about an update on CBI, right, I would rather be us hearing an update on the progress you've made consolidating and enhancing small business resources and how that has amped up CBI's capabilities in doing so. You know what I mean? Because hearing updates is just, like, we're beyond that. Our new council colleagues are now ramped up. Like, it is now time for us to be making use of this time. So whether it's that, whether it's making sure you have the resources necessary for the strategic work on corridors, not another random update, like, those are the things that we've really got to switch gears because these windows are closing on us. So workforce, small business related to CBI, but other things, but more holistically. And if we're going to talk about corridors, make sure you guys have the bandwidth to put the vision around all of that. And then now you've got some approval to do some pilot exploration.
Yep, we got it.
Cool. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
E-file.
E-file. I'll take the E-files. A second, all in favor, aye? Ayes have it.